After a couple weeks off, welcome back officially to another episode of the Less is More Sports Podcast, the college offseason podcast, where you could say we're less of the regular season, but more of the offseason. Before we get started in our slate of topics today, I have to say, Ryan, I think we might have missed our calling. We should probably start another podcast where we break down rap lyrics to Matt. I feel like that would be very entertaining. Given how our conversations go in the group chat before we get on each episode, I feel like this would be hella entertaining. So drop a like and a follow if you want to see us start another podcast called Less is More Breakdowns.
That would not go over well. We'd be canceled after one episode.
We wouldn't be canceled because none of us are like gonna say anything hateful. We're not gonna be canceled.
I don't know. I'd probably just be canceled for overall ignorance, but
I only read like half the text yesterday because I was at work, but I do know who NBA YoungBoy is, so don't worry.
Well, NBA YoungBoy is more your generation anyway, so I would hope. But wait, hold
Yeah.
on. You don't know who half those guys are?
No, I do. I just didn't read half the text because I was at
Oh.
work. If I wasn't, then I would have read the text. But I know most rappers that I think if you say some rappers, I would know.
See, Ryan's being an upstanding citizen, actually going to work, and me and Matt are talking about how the song Broccoli isn't about broccoli and how the song Waukesha is not actually about a girl.
which
Look
did
at that.
surprise me. Talking
Hey,
about my disdain for no flex zone.
I don't blame you there. That's not a great song.
Oh my god. All right, so we're already a little bit off topic, but
A little
this
bit
is gonna
off topic. So I think it's
this is
time to
gonna be a
actually
fun
get
one.
on. You're right. I think it's actually time to get on topic. And the first topic we're going to lead with today is that Danny Hurley has rejected Lakers and will return to UConn for a chance to three-peat. Ryan, I'm going to start with you on this one. What were your thoughts on him deciding to come back to college?
I think it's a good option because I could hear my echo for a second. I think it's a good option because if it ain't broke, then don't fix it. Why would he? In my opinion,
Ryan.
why would he change? You won back to back. What?
Oh, Ryan just like paused for a second.
I don't know what's going on.
Maybe that's his mic drop moment. He's got a hot take ready for us.
Oh well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't think he should change. He's won back to back. And sometimes going to the NBA or going to the professional aspect of the sport is not good. Nick Saban learned that. Um, it can make a turn for the worse, and I think that he should just keep dominating basketball, men's NCAA basketball, and see if he can keep winning. Um, I saw that his wife almost came to tears hearing that he got an LA offer because she loves Connecticut so much. But I think it's good that he came back and keep UConn good and keep dominating the sport.
Before I get to Matt on this topic, do you want to explain your background, Ryan?
Well, this usually happens every year, and I am in a very college football mood. I will be all year, and I love waking up on the Saturday morning, hearing Reese Davis's voice, and showing the backgrounds of whatever city they are in. And I love watching College Game Day, and yeah, I'm just ready for it.
Call me Tony Reality because I'm going to give a point for Ryan just for having the College Game Day with Pat McAfee on it. Legendary stuff.
Yeah.
But anyways, Matt, do you have anything to add about the Danny Hurley move?
No, I mean the first time I heard about it, it was like Danny Hurley's obviously spending some time out of mind because I don't exactly know why you'd even entertain an offer to leave a team like UConn, which you've led to back-to-back national championships, just to chase 2 years of LeBron James, be stuck with the headache of being the Lakers head coach, and have like an entire team which is poised to do like stuff very good, some very good work this season, like out of the picture. I mean, it seems like the Lakers were trying to use some dirty work on him to get him to come over, with that big deal. Have them do the dirty work of dealing with the last few years of LeBron James, and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, maybe they fire him. But I mean, anybody using even a little bit of like pretzel logic could figure out that it was a bad move. I think, and I mean, at the end of the day, what could have been a very Black Friday for UConn fans is now actually a day to rejoice because. I don't know if it was his wife or whether Woj just put that out in the ether to get him a better deal because I know those two are friends. maybe, oh, hey, the Lakers are interviewing your head coach who's won back-to-back national champions. You might want to pay him a little bit more, huh? Something like that. That's the conspiracy theory I'm working with. But yeah, could have been a really Black Friday for UConn fans. Ends up being a great day. You get to keep the team that's poised to make another good deep run intact. You get to keep Danny Hurley, and you get to build that momentum going forward. But the one downside for this, if your UConn is, you never know now, especially if another team is going to say fire in the hole next off season and try to get him to spring from the NBA from the NCAA to the NBA, because you have that option now. That's just something that can happen. And if it's happened once, maybe next year another team with a little bit more promising futures open, maybe a Clipper with Steve Ballmer money, maybe somebody in the Eastern Conference, since that's becoming increasingly wide open. Maybe somebody wants him next year who's on the East Coast, like a 76ers. Maybe that offers a little bit more enticing, but the door is open now if you're a UConn fan to having a little bit more of a stressful offseason. But at the end of the day, the rumors of college basketball's demise were greatly exaggerated. He made the right decision in my book, not dealing with the headache that is the Los Angeles Lakers at this moment in time. And you get to keep a team with Aiden Mahaney, Liam McNeely, and other Alex Caravan, and try to go for a third back-to-back title, which with third straight title, I'm sorry, which puts you in like a whole other level of coaching and a whole nother stratosphere. So, yeah, it was a good move by him to stay, and I'm really happy that college sports is going to continue to have Danny Hurley in it going forward. So that's all I have to say.
I was about to say, if he went through a third back-to-back title, this man would like pass up Coach K in
Even
3
John
years.
Wooden
That's
at that
insane.
point.
I mean, he would be the GOAT at that point. Move over, Coach K. It's Danny
Legend.
Hurley's time to shine right now. But, anyways, I think Matt and I agree, and Ryan, probably haven't talked to you on this one, that I don't buy this at all. That this was not a leverage move for him to get more money out of UConn. I don't buy that. He said it wasn't a leverage move. I don't buy that at all. I mean, UConn's going to give him a payday now. And story time
Deserves it.
before we get to the next topic. Matt wanted to do an emergency podcast if Danny Hurley signed with the Lakers. And I swear he can say what he wants, but it was totally just a rub in my face if I was wrong and be like, yeah, Les, we all know he was going to LA except you, because you want to know why? You're not like us. You're not like us. You're not like us.
That's probably
But
what would have happened. And then, like, the screen the rest of the time would have just been those god awful memes I made of like from Stubber SpongeBob base, where it's like Liam McNeely after Liam McNeely coming back to Indiana after Danny Hurley takes the Lakers job, and it's the Shanghai scene where the Flying Dutchman goes, "Welcome back," and it's just like, yeah, that's all it would have been. It would have been 40 minutes of memes and me laughing at Les. It would have just been like one of those Stephen A videos after the Cowboys lose, where he's just going, ha ha ha. I would start in the kitchen, just slowly walk in wearing a hat with a fake cigar, and then sit down and just start laughing.
bro, those are
I had
so cringeworthy. Those are so cringeworthy when Stephen H is like, I'm like,
I
dude, that is the most forced laugh I've ever heard in my life. I don't know what was cringier, that or when Skip Bayless did like the whole feed me thing, like about Zeke Elliott. I mean, this man pops up on camera looking straight up like the Grim Reaper and just starts going, I'm
oh
like,
my
bro.
god.
But anyways, yeah, back to Danny Hurley. Plus, when LA offered him literally almost the exact same deal as Kentucky, I knew this was not happening at all. But anyways,
Yeah.
time to get on to the next topic. And this is a topic that I think Matt stresses that of very major importance. And that is Kanan Catchings has decided to decommit from Purdue and open up his recruitment. So Matt, you think this is a bigger deal than most. Why is that?
I don't know. It's probably just because I'm the Big Ten guy on here when it comes to basketball. And I was really looking forward to seeing Canyon Catchings at Purdue. I mean, 6'9" guy, plays either forward position. And I think he was going to be, along with Colvin, a big chance for Purdue to take another jump, even without Zach Edey, maintain that. Because if you've got a guy who can play either forward position, especially if you're Purdue, you could have done a lot of interesting things on offense, even if like your monster center hadn't quite developed yet. So losing him, I think, is a very interesting. Puts Purdue in a very interesting situation with who you start the forwards now. Do you start Trey Kaufman Wren at center now and play, Heidi or something? I mean, it's a very interesting conundrum now. Plus, I just like the guy. He was a bucket getter. I think he could have stretched the floor pretty well. And like I said, when you can play either forward position, if you've got a 6'9" small forward, you're in a good position in the Big Ten. But what really fascinates me is where he's linked to go now. I know Purdue fans are losing their religion over this decommitment, but I don't think the people of BYU, those shiny happy people, even are, because Kenny Catchings is heavily linked to go to BYU, and we saw out of nowhere BYU after firing Mark Pope, or not firing Mark Pope,
I was about to
after
say
Mark
he didn't
Pope
get
leaves
fired. He left for Kentucky.
after he leaves to go to Kentucky, they almost have a better roster than they did when Mark Pope was with them. Between getting, if they get Canyon Catchings, they got the kid from Real Madrid coming in. I mean, they've got a really good competitive roster in the Big 12 or I'm sorry, the All State 12 conference. We need to start calling them that now. So I mean, it's just been a fascinating story that I think makes Purdue still good. Don't get me wrong. They're a top 15 top. They're a top 15 squad. They've got good, but I just think they're going to be fine. But I think this just maybe would be, if they had that guy who could play either forward, I think it would make them a little bit tougher of an out. But now it's kind of you do. Do you start Trey Kaufman right at the 4? Do you try to rush this kid who's 7'3" into the lineup already? Because I was going to be like, and start somebody athletic at the 3. It's going to be interesting to see how Purdue responds. And fortunately, they've got a coach in Matt Painter who I know will. But this whole story to me, this whole saga, like what does Purdue do now? What happens to BYU now? Just really fascinated me. So yeah, I think it'd be a pretty big deal because maybe it weakens Purdue a little, but if he goes to BYU, I think BYU is in a very fortuitous position because they've got a lot of really athletic guys out there all of a sudden for a team that lost its coach and frankly got, manhandled by Duquesne in the first round of the NCAA tournament. So I'm going to be interested. I'm going to be interested to see if he goes to BYU and what BYU will do.
Key the conspiracy that Mark Pope was the problem at BYU. Is that what I'm hearing?
Maybe, maybe
Maybe.
not.
Hey, I'm here for the hot take. But if you listen to Matt Painter at all talk about it, Trey Kaufman-Renn, he said multiple times on record, is going to be the best big in the Big Ten next year. So just based on what he says, that's probably where they're going to link to go, starting him at the 5, just based on that comment alone. Plus, I mean, like you said, Purdue's still going to be fine. I mean, Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer coming back. Plus, we got to talk about this top recruit that they have coming in, Daniel Jacobson, who was the anchor on the USA under-18 team in FIBA that helped lead USA to yet not only another gold medal, but they won by 42 points a game. Like, that is insane. I understand that at this level, the USA is usually better than a lot of the rest of the countries out there.
We always do that.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, we always do that, but like, no, still 42 points a game is 42 points a game. I don't care if you're playing a middle school team at that point. That is insane. And, even with Edey, I still think they'll be a top 2 team in the Big Ten. And this might be the hotter take, but I think Purdue might be more intriguing to watch next year without Edey, because I think without someone like Edey, who's like a big, imposing presence in the post, they could spread it out and play a lot quicker basketball. So that's just my opinion on that. Ryan, do you have anything to add about this move particularly?
You kind of said it best for me, but I mean, losing Cannon Catching is like he's very good. He's a very good player, top 40 recruit. But I think Purdue will be just fine. I'm a very high believer in Matt Painter. I think he's a excellent coach. Um, but I don't know how much this compares. But when they lost Jaden Ivey a couple years back, and Edey really hadn't popped off yet. A lot of people were worrying like, oh, Purdue's gonna fall off. They ended up just being fine. They will figure it out. I think Trey Kaufman-Renn will be a huge player on their team. Maybe the best. I don't know, but their guards may need to step up a little bit. But they're still very good players, and I think that Purdue would be just fine without Ken Catchings.
A little bit of a tongue twister there. I get it.
Yeah.
Moving
Yeah,
on
I
to the
do.
next topic. So even though I was wrong multiple times on where he was going to go, I did make the right call when I said that Coleman Hawkins was making a money move with that press conference. And he eventually would commit to Kansas State. But the story behind that is that he gets the largest NIL deal in college basketball at the moment with a $2 million deal. But also where this ties into us is that during the group chat, we were excited to potentially see Coleman Hawkins playing in the new SEC versus ACC challenge. So, Ryan, what are your thoughts overall on the Coleman Hawkins and then the new SEC ACC challenge?
Um, it surprised me a little bit about Kansas State. I thought I didn't think originally, but then it got closer. I thought he was going to go end up at Louisville. I heard that Louisville canceled their visit. I know people were saying opposite ways, but I think it was Louisville who canceled their visit with them.
It was. It was.
Maybe
That's been confirmed. Yeah.
okay. Maybe PK is just settled with his roster. He's ready for the season. But Coleman Hawkins is a very good player, and it's Doug McDaniel that he's teaming up with, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, at Kansas State. But yeah, you know, he got his money, and I think that Kansas State could be pretty solid. But for the ACC SEC challenge, Louisville actually got featured in it. It is Louisville versus Chris Beard and the Ole Miss Rebels. Uh, and we'll see Kentucky versus Clemson. Clemson was very, very solid last year. They made a deep run. And we got the rematch Alabama at North Carolina. I think that will be a great game and a rematch of, was it the Elite Eight, Final Four? One of those games.
Would you say
The Alabama at North Carolina game, was that the Final Four?
that was an Elite Eight game? Yeah.
Okay, Elite Eight, yeah. But yeah, I'm excited for the SEC ACC challenge. I do miss the Big Ten ACC challenge, which ended a year ago, but this will still be just as good. And oh yeah, also Arkansas and Miami. I'll be intriguing to watch that just because of Cal University.
Before I get to Matt, I want to say that Louisville Ole Miss game is going to be very suffocating.
Oh God. Good God, man.
I knew that was going to get a reaction out of you.
Less is more sport.
You want to talk about getting
Cancel.
canceled?
I don't believe cancel culture exists. We've been over this a million times on the podcast.
I know.
And not to mention, like I said, the charges were dropped. It's fair game.
Oh God. Oh God. That was bad, Les. That was bad. Ugh.
Did I distract you enough to get you off topic?
No, you did not, because I've been preparing for a while now.
All right,
This is
so
going
what
to
you
be a
got?
lot of people. Who's ready to hear me? What do the kids call it? Yapping. I'm going
Rant.
to start yapping now because this is going to be. I have a couple quick fire secession takes here, which is first of all, Kansas State's roster is very talented on paper, but it doesn't make any sense to me because you add Coleman Hawkins to a roster that already had Unsueo and already had a core, and they had another transfer center whose name's escaping me. And it's like you've got a lot of bigs and you've got a good guard, but like they don't really have any super overpowered wings right now. So it's going to be really interesting to see what that team does because I'm not as high on them as I thought I would be, but I also can definitely see them overachieving. And so it's going to be interesting to see what Jerome Tang does, especially in those Sunflower State matchups, having to go against Kansas. So you've got like two teams who are absolutely loaded with superstars. Not sure how they're going to play together, not sure how they fit together, but that's going to be very interesting to see. But, and once again, to a lot of people, it's the end of the world as we know it, but I feel fine about Coleman Hawkins making $2 million a year. It would be hypocritical to say otherwise. People just need to let that one go. But I'm telling you, what really makes me sad is like the one I love, Akora Core. Everyone remembers him from Samford last year. Nearly beat Kansas. Never nearly had the chance to pull one of the upsets in the tournament. Transfers into Kansas State, and now he's been relegated. I think probably to the bench, which sucks. Behind Coleman Hawkins, they play the same position, but everybody hurts sometimes. And I mean, I think that the Jerome Tang may have to do some pretty persuasion to keep him on the roster because that guy is too talented to just sit behind somebody else, a core. And that's the real tragedy of the whole situation here is that he's on the roster and he may not even start anymore. So, that's going to be interesting to see. Jerome Tang, he's done a great job, especially with his guards. So it's interesting to see him try now to get a team comprised mostly of like highly touted big men. and get them to play as well as he's had other people and get them to play as well as he's had some of his transfer guards play. I mean, he made a star of Marquise Noel. He made a star of Tyler Perry. The guy's gonna. I have no doubt that he's gonna be fine. But it's just weird to me. He's taken such a departure from developing his guards to developing big men now. But he's got a good drive, so I think we're all going to be fine. And then, looking at the ACC SEC challenge, the game that interests me the most, other than the obvious ones, is you've got Syracuse at Tennessee. That's an orange crush of a ball game you've got going on there. All the orange in the world is present there. I love that. And you've got two programs. Syracuse, year two, their new head coach. They've put together a pretty solid transfer class. Tennessee, Rick Barnes. How did they respond after kind of a disappointing year, losing some guys, adding some guys in? That was a fascinating one to me. And I also am really intrigued by Florida State and LSU, two teams who had, let's just be honest here, very rough seasons last year, lost a lot of guys, but have also done pretty well, bringing new guys in, some new blood. I think LSU could be one of those sneaky teams that looks like a bottom dweller that ends up taking over and having a really good season. But, that's to be determined. But yeah, those are my takes in succession order. Kansas State's roster, very weird. The tragedy of the whole Coleman's Hawkins situation is not NIL, but the nation needs a core to be on the court more often. And third, I always like a good orange on orange uniform matchup. So 3 takes in a row for you. I'm done yapping. Back to you, Les.
So I think I've said enough about Coleman Hawkins over the last several podcasts that I'm going to skip over that because you all know how I feel about that situation. But I just want to say, as far as the SEC ACC challenge, you all know I'm going to be tuned into that Duke Auburn game. That's going to be a great matchup. Two long athletic teams. And on top of it, the last time we played Auburn, we had a transcending performance from Marquise Bolden, which was like the greatest game of his career. And, maybe one of the bigs has another Marquise Bolden-like performance. So that's what I'm going to be looking forward to. But anyway, sticking in the SEC, Trayvon Brazil has decided to come back to Arkansas. And Ryan, I'll start with you again. What did you think of this move?
Him coming back just adds more talent to the very, very good roster that Cal University has, or New Cal University, sorry. But I think that Arkansas will be very tough. Past couple seasons, I've been seeing that the roster has been very good, but sometimes it just doesn't. Like, I thought they were going to be very good last year, and they kind of had an underwhelming year again under Eric Musselman. But I think that they will be very, very good. Um, what was I going to say? They play Miami in the ACC SEC Challenge, and who knows how good Miami will be. Has North Chad Omier, did he go to what was it? Baylor?
I think he went to Baylor. So
Yeah. Okay. So who knows how Miami will be? They have lost a lot of guys, but I think that Arkansas will be very, very tough, and the SEC will be very, very tough. Even adding Oklahoma and Texas with it, it could be, it could overtake the Big 12. Who knows?
Matt, you got anything to add?
I mean, not much. I mean, my biggest problem with Arkansas is I think our expectations for them are a little bit man on the moon right now because they have a good roster made up of a lot of good players, but there's just not a lot of depth there just yet. They've got like 9 guys on the roster right now. It's going to go up, but a lot of the big talents have committed to elsewhere. They're ready to go, and you just can't buy a thrill if you're Arkansas. You've got a pretty good roster right now. But a lot of those guys, who are left in the NIL stuff, they're going to demand a pretty high bag, and they're probably not dudes you wanted to bring in earlier. So, yeah, that's still my concern with Arkansas for now. If they're willing to play, pretty with a pretty light bench, they'll be fine. And it's just like wondering how much depth they're going to get for me. If they get enough depth that's like a little bit of an eyebrow raiser, they'll be fine. If not, we may need to taper the expectations off just a little bit.
I want to clear up a point that I made about Arkansas's roster because in one of the other videos that I've made in between episodes, I said that Arkansas, Alabama, and Kansas had the top 3 rosters in college basketball. And, I got a lot of feedback by that. People asking, where's Duke and all this? Well, Duke, the thing is, because the other three teams have, I think, a better combination of experience and youth. I think Duke being more youth led is going to be one of those teams where they're going to be good to start the season, but they're going to get better as the season goes on. So when I say that those are the big three, I mean those are going to be the three best teams to start the season. Now, how the season ends is going to be a completely different story. You know, a lot of Kentucky fans are saying that Arkansas is going to build this great roster and Cal is going to lose in the first round like he did the last 5 years at Kentucky. And you know what? Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. But I mean, but all I'm saying is like who the big three is to start the season is not going to be the big three to end the season. And so I just wanted to clear that up. And then transitioning to the next topic, I feel like I'm going to be the one who has more to say about this than anybody. We're going to talk about some of the recruiting weekend flexes in college football, and any of you all can feel free to chime in after this, but I'm going to take this one to start. You know, a lot of people have mixed emotions about Texas flexing the Lamborghinis, but let me ask you this. Ryan, what's your height and weight?
I'm about 6'3", 225. No, I'm just kidding. My
I'm
height,
about to say you are straight cap and you say you're 6'3".
I'm like 5'11", 150. Don't shame me.
See, I'm not body shaming you.
No,
I'm
no,
just
no,
saying
no. Everyone else.
I don't think
know
I don't think that's a weight or height that's worth shaming. Like you're above the national average in height. I think you're good.
Yeah.
But anyways though, I'm 6'2", 240. I got size on Ryan. If like we play one-on-one in basketball and I body this kid, like it just is what it is. No one's gonna be coming for Ryan saying, oh, like poor guy, like he never had a shot, blah, blah, blah. No, it's life. Sports and life in general are about using what you have to your advantages. I mean, it ain't tricking if you got it, right? Not to mention top wide receiver recruit Jamie French has said that his goal is to have a Lamborghini NIL deal. Guess which college has had a player with that deal? Which shout out to Mr. Bijan Dijon, aka Mr. Lamborghini G-Ski himself. So my thing is, it ain't tricking if you got it. If you got the weapons, you got the advantages, use it. That's how you're gonna get all the top players. And y'all got anything? As we got 10 minutes to go, y'all got anything to add, or do we get into our last and final topic?
No, I just wanted to say, unsurprisingly, I do not care about cars or anything like that. You can be a showbiz kid all you want. You can have the fancy cars. You can do all that. But at the end of the day, what matters is if you produce on the field. You can have these glamour professions, these glamour sessions, all you want. But if it doesn't result to anything on the field, it's just not worth it. So
Right.
I'm not saying that, Texas won't do that or anything like that. All I'm saying is like all these glamour shots, they don't do anything for me. It's just like congratulations, your school has money. Why don't you go like buy a library or something? Since you're actually supposed to be a school. But I'm not criticizing the Texas football program for that. I'm just saying it's like that stuff just doesn't do much for me.
Yeah, that's
Um,
fine.
I think it's very smart. Show the cars, show the money, show the jewelry. Recruits now like love the pictures of like kind of like flexing, not like flexing, but like flexing with like cars and stuff. And I think it's smart. If you have it, then you should show it off to the recruits. Maybe it'll persuade them to come to your school. But I think that they should just know that it's not all rainbows and roses. Like you got to earn it, you got to work. Like as soon as you enroll, like you may start from the bottom, no matter if you're a 5 star. You just got to, like Matt says, you have to perform on the field to get to the top. And you know who knows, nowadays maybe as a freshman they'll get a Lamborghini dealership or some kind of jewelry. There I mean, not a dealership, an NIL deal. Maybe they'll get that as soon as they enroll. Who knows with this NIL era? But yeah, I think it's smart for schools. Take advantage of it if you have it.
And heading to our final topic of the day. As a lot of you may have heard, Joey Chesnut has gotten banned from the Nathan's hot dog eating contest over a branding issue. And while we were discussing topics to come up with this show, Matt made an analogy, like only Matt can, to explain how this can relate to the current state of college athletics. So, Matt, this is all you. Have the
Oh,
floor, my
boy.
friend.
Well, the thing I was thinking about when Les mentioned that, I was actually kind of trying to be a little bit flippant about it, was and it stems from something that happened to me actually while I was working in college radio, doing ironically enough a sports show where we were talking about in a little bit of downtime our rankings of chicken places, chicken restaurants, Chick-fil-A, Zaxby's, Raising Cane's, yada yada. And we all came to the conclusion that Zaxby's was our least favorite chicken chain. And granted, we weren't dunking on it or anything like that. We were trying not to go crazy, you know. But even so, in between the breaks, we got a text from the station's sponsor or the faculty member sponsoring the radio station. And he's like, "Can you all not talk about Zaxby's anymore? When you talk negatively about it, the athletic department doesn't like it because they're a sponsor of our athletic department." And it was like, oh shit, can't be doing that. So, that led me to think about, we're in the era of the NIL. We've discussed this over and over again. And, people talk about the passion a lot of, companies to sponsor these bowl games. And what happens if in the future, there's a Popeye Bahama Bowl, or there used to be, and one of the kids has an NIL deal with like Raising Canes and says like, "Oh man, my NIL deal with Raising Canes is great, and I hate Popeyes, and I hate the fact they put bones in chicken, and I hate their dry biscuits, and I hate the fact they have strawberry Fanta in the Coke machine." And what happens if like could a bowl realistically be like, well then you can't participate in the Popeye Bahama Bowl, or we don't want you to, and be like, what? I don't think it'll happen, but it's a fun hypothetical to play with. That what happens if a bowl game sponsor and an outspoken player with a high NIL deal like get into it? Where does the bang and blame happen there with stuff like that? So I was just curious to see like what your guys' thoughts would be. Would this be something that Congress, if they made a law about NIL, would take care of? Do you think this is two separate affairs? Where is that bang and blame headed? If you're a bowl game sponsor and some kid is bad mouthing your product because of an NIL deal potentially.
I'm going to be completely honest. For starters, my hot take is that Publix has the best chicken. That is my hot take of the day. But I'm surprised that the shoe companies haven't done more up to this point in college basketball. Like they've run college basketball for years. I mean, and if you don't believe me, you can even watch the movie Amateur. Like players don't play for teams, they don't play for coaches, they play for the brands. I mean, always have. You see players on AAU teams sponsored by one shoe company, and half the time that brand picks where they go to school, or at least it did in years past. Now with the NIL era, we're not seeing that as much. And I think it's only a matter of time before they have another power surge and are like, hey, we want our power back. And they enforce their will in that regard. So yeah, this branding issue, I think, will be taken to court in the coming years if it's not already in the making right now, because these companies, they don't want to lose power. It's all a power move, it's all a money move, and they're not going to want to lose that. Ryan, what you got to add?
Um, I understand that he went to some kind of vegan blah 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 instead of Nathan's famous hot dog contest. But I don't understand how Nathan's hot dog contest can ban their number one glizzy gobbler. Um,
I love it.
I
Oh,
you know he's a legend. When Nathan's hot dog contest comes on TV, there are people that watch. All right, I don't think I've ever watched it, but it's because of one man, and that is Joey Chestnut. I mean, he's he's crazy. All right, I don't know how he found his profession, but he's a legend in it, and he's a worldwide or not probably not worldwide USA known man. And I think I saw recently that like there was a sports team, maybe baseball, that brought him to their stadium and put on a show. And that's a lot of teams will use him for that. But you know, and I was thinking about this. Um, Getting banned from a Glizzy Goblin contest is crazy work. I mean, that is absurd. How do you get banned from that? I understand that he went to the rival, but you know, if you get banned from being too good at eating hot dogs, then you know You must have completed life. Come on now.
That's almost impressive to be that good at Glizzy Goblin that you
Yeah.
get banned.
I wanted to. That's why my name is the Joey Chesnut #1 Glizzy Gobbler. But I just wanted to call it that. It's
Only
not a
because
hot
I
dog.
banned Kobayashi.
Well, speaking of which, before we end the show, I always got to say like and subscribe to Less is More Sports YouTube and Spotify channel. Be sure to follow the social media pages on Facebook, Twitter, and Threads. That's at Less is More Sports. Also, be sure to check out the TikTok channel. That's at BeansDad018. And speaking of which, Matt, I guess we're all going to watch that Netflix special with Kobayashi versus Joey Chestnut. That comes out 3 days before my birthday, so happy birthday to me.
I am feeling gravity's pull to watch that. That's going to be a very fun event to watch for free on Netflix. I know that, so I'm gravitationally drawn to that. So I'm very excited. And of
Hey,
course, we're going to see.
let's have a watch party at the crib.
We could,
Happy
and we'll just
birthday,
have to see.
Les. Happy
We'll just
birthday,
have to
Les.
see
You
which
get to.
Superman wins.
Happy
Hey,
birthday,
we could even
Les.
take bets. We could take bets on that. Who wins, Kobayashi, Joey Chestnut? Hey, I just want to know how the hell these guys aren't fat. If I ate like that, I would be 400 freaking pounds.
They train, man. They train. I don't even think the
I
food
train every day.
I don't
What you
even think the
mean?
food touches their tongue. I mean, that's just how their life. That's just life and how to live it to them.
They
So
just straight goblin. They just
they just
straight
straight
glizzy
up.
goblin.
Yeah.
Happy
I mean,
birthday,
if it,
Les. You get to watch 2 grown men eat hot dogs on your birthday.
It's what I always wanted. Let me tell you. Why
That's-
do you think I went to an all boys school? Come on, guys.
Oscar Mayer for the win, folks. Oscar Mayer.